Hello there, welcome back to my channel. It is Monday, November 18th. It is the last week before fall break. We're gonna make it, y'all. But tomorrow we are interim testing, which is essentially like a warm-up test for the big STAAR test we're gonna take in the spring. And I figured I could take you along with me, show you how I set up my room, how I motivate my students, how I keep everything organized, my checklist, all of the things. And by the time you're seeing this, it's most likely Thanksgiving week, so you might be on fall break as well. If you are, get cozy. If you're not, it's right around the corner, I promise. But let's go ahead and jump into it. Since it's a Monday, we're gonna start out with a quick weekend recap, because I tend to do that every time I vlog on a Monday. But yesterday in particular, Saturday was a normal day, but yesterday was so much fun. Billy and I got up and went to a barbecue class. It was essentially Brisket 101 with KG Barbecue, which is an Egyptian fusion barbecue food truck here in Austin. Billy and I first went like a year and a half ago, and since then, we loved it when we first went. The owner of the food truck has gotten a James Beard Award, just got awarded a Bib Gourmand from the Michelin Star. He was on the Barbecue Showdown show on Netflix, and so he's gaining a lot of notoriety, as he should, because it's phenomenal. If you're ever in Austin, highly recommend. But one of my birthday presents from Billy was this barbecue class with him, and it was so much fun. I was living my best life.
Grilling in the great outdoors.
So coming off of that, one more week, and then we've got fall break. It is a somewhat busy week. I feel like I've got a lot of meetings and things. Today, during my planning time, I have a meeting, and then after school, I've got to set up for the interim testing. So let's kind of chat about that. So as I mentioned, this is almost like the warm-up, if you will, for the big STAAR tests that we take in the spring. And obviously, because this is my first year teaching in Texas, I'm still learning all the ins and outs. So I will have more information after I've been through a full year of teaching here. But last week on Tuesday, we did the math interim assessment. This week, it is the reading interim assessment. And in terms of, from the teacher perspective, I almost break it into two parts. You have the day before the interim and all the things you gotta get done. And then you have the day of the interim and all the things you gotta get done. When it comes to the day before the interim, the main things are reviewing the digital tools that students will use, because this is an assessment they take online, and that is all through the Texas assessment website, which we already went through for math, but I'll probably just quickly review it again with them for reading. Taking down instructional materials around the room. Now, last week, because it was the math interim, I had to take down all of the posters on the wall behind me, but thankfully, I used these little clips to put them up, so they're just little push pins. It's just a push pin with a little clip, and so it made it really, really easy to take down the materials. Oh, I just broke it off. Okay, that's awkward. We'll put that back later. It made it really easy to take them down and then put them back up, because I just had to clip them in the push pin, and not break the push pin. Because tomorrow's interim assessment is reading, I don't have any materials that I need to take down, because I don't have any reading materials up in my classroom. One other thing I will need to do, though, at the end of the day is move around my tables. I don't have desks, I have trap tables, which means trapezoid, because that's the shape of them. So we'll come back to that later on. I'll show you how I set that up, because this is one of those tests where students have to be seated apart from each other. The other thing that I do is just make sure that my students' Chromebooks are all charged. So for example, if any students go to clubs after school, I make sure I remind them, hey, come back to my room and plug in your Chromebook before you leave. And I double check before I leave that they're all plugged in and charging. And then it's just reminding my students, get a good night's sleep, eat a good breakfast, come to school ready to go. But that's essentially what we're looking at for today. First things first, gotta put up a new clip, because that's gonna bug me. okay. It's as if it never happened. Now, on the actual day of the interim, so tomorrow, there are a lot more things going through my brain that I am trying not to forget. So to organize that, I actually created a Google Keep checklist. I've mentioned this before. Google Keep is just a free app through Google. You can basically use it like digital sticky notes. So you can type out text, insert images, but you can also create clickable checkboxes, and then you can reset it with one click, which I love. Now, I'm not gonna show you my checklist because I have information on here that I can't share. But at the very, very top of the checklist, I actually have phone numbers for my assistant principal as well as one of the other staff members kind of helping out. That way, if anything goes wrong, I've got their numbers easy to find and ready to go. But some of the items on my checklist. By 7:15, I have to go to my assistant principal's room and get my testing tub, and that then becomes my testing baby that I cannot leave unattended for any reason. So if I go to the bathroom, I carry it with me. My second checklist item is do not leave testing tub unattended. Check that Chromebooks are charged. Display morning slide for students. I will show you what that looks like. By 7:35, play the morning announcements, take lunch count, lock my computer and the IFP, which is like my front computer board thing, display just the lock screen, collect phones and smartwatches, put the testing sign in the door, write the start time on the IFP. So even though the computer itself is not on, I just have the lock screen and it displays the time, I will write the time that we start on there, and then that way it's visible from anyone like peeking in my classroom. So if my assistant principal is like, hey, what time did they get started testing? They can see that there. Read the directions, continuously monitor, take attendance, pause and go to specials, collect test tickets, keep them with you, gotta bring that testing bucket, have students raise their hand and make sure that I watch them submit. They have to submit like twice throughout the test because there's kind of two parts. As I collect papers from students, have one pile for scratch paper, one pile for their testing tickets in alphabetical order. Once they have submitted, I exchange their Chromebook for a book to read. If students are still testing, pause it. When we go to lunch, again, collect the test tickets, keep them with me. Remind students they can't talk about the test during lunch. Text my assistant principal when I'm finished. And then I have general reminders about like, if they're gonna go to the bathroom, they have to put their Chromebook at what we call a 45. So they tilt the screen down so it's at a 45-degree angle. It's a lot to remember, hence why I had to create a checklist. But since I already did this for math last week, my life is that much easier going into tomorrow because I already have the checklist done. I mentioned the direction slide. So rather than displaying my usual morning direction slide when my students come in the classroom, I displayed this slide on the interim testing days. So it still has the date, Happy Tuesday, but I have a list of things I want them to do. So unpack and hang your backpack under your cubby, follow directions to the right to get their materials ready, and then they can talk quietly until the bell rings, and then voices go to a 0. Usually I have a mint sitting out at their desk, which again, we'll come back to that. I tell them they can eat it whenever they want, but if they're gonna eat it during the test, go ahead and like unwrap it so that it's ready to go. On their desk, they need their Chromebook, one sharpened pencil, one eraser, and 2 books. Now, I also have a sticky note sitting at their seat, letting them know where to sit since the trap tables are in a different spot. And they will actually place that sticky note on top of their 2 books. I collect their books, and then as they finish their assessment, I take their Chromebook and I give them their books that they're allowed to read. So having the sticky note not only tells them where to sit, but it also allows me to identify their books so that I can move them, like I put them on my back counter, and then I can hand them out to them once they finish. Under their chair, they will have their water bottle and then their snack, which they're allowed to have as many snacks as they want. They can eat during the test, but I tell them to have it like open and ready so they're not making a bunch of crinkly noise trying to get their snack opened up while other students are testing. And then if you saw one of my last vlogs, you know last week during the interim testing for math, we had a casualty. My brain sprinkles, which I made my first year of teaching, shattered. I'm so sad about it. I dropped on the floor, the bottom broke off, glitter, boom, everywhere. Tragic. So I have replaced it, and yes, I have trust issues. So when I brought it into school, I put it in a plastic baggie, even though it has a lid. So hold on, let me get this opened up. Now you might notice this is different than the one that I showed you in the last vlog, which is this one that I got from the dollar store. Y'all, it just made me nervous. There's no lid on it, and I think I'm suffering from post-traumatic glitter stress disorder because after spilling glitter all over your carpet, it takes a while to recover from that. So I went on to Amazon and got one of these. It's basically like a spice mixer thing where you can mix up your own spices and then you have a little shaker bottle for it. But hello, I teach 4th grade, so I'm gonna fill it with glitter instead. This actually came in a 2-pack, so I kept the other one at home and Billy and I will use it. In fact, after the barbecue class, we're like, oh, we need to make our barbecue seasoning. Not important. So I have filled this with glitter. We upgraded to gold glitter this time, okay? You can kind of see, let me actually take the lid off, hold on. Okay. So I put tape over top, and I had done this with my other brain sprinkles as well, so that only a little bit comes out at a time. As you can see, only the 2 middle holes are actually exposed. That way, I'm not dousing my students with glitter. I am just, you know, sprinkling it, hence the brain sprinkles. I put tape on the outside and then also underneath of the lid as well, but we now have gold glitter, and I really like that this one has a lid so that I can feel just a little bit more secure when I'm not using it. All this to say, I will be standing in the hallway in the morning with the brain sprinkles so I can give it to my students as they come in, but also my students I teach in the afternoon who will not be with me for testing, they can come see me in the morning and still get their brain sprinkles. It is now after school and my classroom is all set up for interim testing. My switch teacher and I actually swapped back about 5 minutes early so that we could get everything moved around and set up. I put my Sterlite drawers where my students keep their math books and some of the shared supplies like rulers and protractors. Those got placed over here along the wall along with all of their notebooks. I will put those back tomorrow once we are done testing, but as you can see, I just have my trap tables set up and I have it so that the long side is facing the front, and then I have a student on either diagonal side of the table. So I will have one student seated at my back table, and that will cover my entire class. I'm gonna go around, place a sticky note at each student's seat, and in the morning when they come in, they will place that sticky note on top of their 2 books, and then I will return those books to them once they are done testing. But this is kind of the general setup for the room when we are testing. Then I will also place a mint at each student's seat. So again, these are the Red Bird, I call them the puffy mints, but they're like the soft peppermints that just kind of melt in your mouth. And I feel like the students that don't ordinarily like mints because they find them hot or spicy, they end up liking these because there's nothing hot about them. And then I also have some extra snacks. So I have Cheez-Its and then also some Goldfish. I had picked these up last week for the math interim just because in case any students didn't have a snack, I wanted to make sure I could provide them with one. And then I'm gonna run to H-E-B, which is like our local grocery store, to also get some Oreos, like the little mini packs of Oreos as a treat for when they're done because they're smart cookies.
Say me cookie.
But also, I just love a good treat when you're done testing. All right, I feel like this is my first time sitting down all day. Did I finish my coffee? Yes, I did. It's a miracle. But besides putting out the sticky notes at their seat and the mints, I'm all ready to go for tomorrow. I don't need to take anything down. I've got my snackies out. I need to go to the store, but I can't do that right this second. I need to stuff Tuesday folders because those are gonna go home tomorrow. And then just work on lesson planning because even though everything is planned for this week, I want to make sure before I leave on Friday for fall break, yay, that all of my lessons are ready to go for when we come back so that I don't need to do anything over break. But I will probably do one more vlog before break time and maybe just chat about like how I get prepared for going on a break. Oh, I need to show y'all something. Speaking of fall, when I picked up my students from art today, they had these trees. It's basically just a brown paper bag, and I guess they cut it and then twisted it to make the branches, and then they glued on the little squares to represent the leaves. But how cute are these? And of course, if you're an elementary teacher, you know once one student gives you an art project, they're all gonna give you an art project. And I will never complain about that. It warms my heart. But my students were so sweet. We were trying to find a spot to put them, and so I figured this was a good area, and they were like, oh, it's the For Emerson Fall Family Forest. And I thought that was so sweet. So we now have a classroom forest. And thankfully, because y'all, I don't have a green thumb, I don't have to worry about keeping these alive. But I do need to go ahead and end this vlog because typically on Mondays, one of my team teachers will come in my room and we'll just sit and spend a little bit of time planning. She will help me out with the slides and put like the objectives and copy over some of the images and things to make it that much easier, which is very much appreciated. And I need to clean off my back table where you can see it looks clean. What you're not seeing is all the random things around me. For example, our science investigation today, we were investigating friction and we were testing our shoes on the tile floor with felt, and then we designed an investigation using other materials. So we did like a dry paper towel and a wet paper towel. We also did tissues, so I have random tissues sitting back here, and it's a hot mess. So I need to clean up and get ready so that I can get some planning done. But if you enjoyed this video, I don't know if you did, I feel like it was all over the place, give it a thumbs up. That's one way to let me know. Hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. As always, thank you for watching. I love you so much. Don't forget to put your positive pants on, and I will catch you in the next one.